I mean, it could happen. I mean, why not? If Crawford wanna challenge himself to be great, let him try to be great. You know, so you know what I'm saying, I'm with it. So you know, I'll be going for Bud. You know,
I can retire right now and be in the Hall of Fame. He couldn't. You know, like everything that I've accomplished, he's still trying to accomplish. You know.
Do you not think Spence will be in the Hall of Fame?
Right now? No, how?
Yeah, he's right, dude. He's right.
How? You know, he fought in one division. You know,
he never unified the belts.
He unified.
He did unify.
You know,
IBF.
He unified.
IBF, was it?
After so much silence on Terence Crawford, Errol Spence has finally called for the rematch between the pair following Terence Crawford's recent claims on him being a substandard fighter. While it seems late to pursue a rematch against Crawford, Errol Spence has tried his luck and decided to call out the two-time undisputed champion after several moments of disrespect from Crawford.
I said I would never want to fight him coming off an accident like that, because when I beat him, then y'all gonna say it was because of the accident.
Right.
He fight. He beat Danny Garcia. I was in the crowd. I said, nah, he can't beat me. That's the first time I seen Spence fight live. I said.
So you knew then when you seen that?
I'm like yeah, because you know it's different on TV than when you watching it up close in person.
Fight.
He did unify.
You know,
IBF.
He unified.
IBF, was it?
He had three.
Yeah.
He had the
Yeah,
WBC,
but he didn't unify all
WBA,
four. He wasn't
IBF.
undisputed.
Huh?
He wasn't undisputed.
He wasn't. No, but what I'm saying is, they already called him a weight bully, right? He beat Kell Brook coming off of a loss, an eye injury. You know, he beat Sean Porter.
In all fairness, he had to go over there to get that.
Their first fight didn't end well for Spence, and it's surely one of the reasons why he saw his stock drop massively as a boxer, with an embarrassing performance that'll never be forgotten from him. Sadly for Spence, many in the boxing community have defined him by his fight against Terence Crawford. He made the call for a rematch in social media while responding to a clip where Terence Crawford was being interviewed and asked if Errol Spence was worthy to receive the International Boxing Hall of Fame.
So, along my career, I've been criticized, and people have taken credit away from me just to try to diminish my accomplishments, just off of pure hate. So, what would they be able to say with me going up 2 weight classes?
People say, oh, well, maybe it was the weight or whatever the case is. What do you think about that? Like, talking about the weight at 154?
Well, I wasn't worried about that. I felt stronger than him. You know, I felt that I punched harder than him. I felt as if I hurt him many of times.
Of course, Crawford felt otherwise, claiming Errol Spence would not be a Hall of Famer if he retires now. And this was why Space came for his head on social media. The disrespect is becoming crazy. We probably should run this back at this point.
Hold his head up. You know, it's a learning experience. You know, you just bounce back from it. It's about how you come back and how you show people that it's happening young in your career, and some of you
said, you know what I mean, that's a good win. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm hating on him or, you know,
I understand
things like that, but I honestly don't know if he make it to the Hall of Fame with the...
Of course, this must have gotten Errol Spence, whose last appearance in boxing was when he was promoting one of the fights of a fighter signed to his boxing promotion in a fight for the World Boxing Association lightweight title. Errol Spence Jr. hasn't returned to action since his 2023 loss to Terence Crawford. Spence and Crawford were thought to be very evenly matched. However, Crawford dominated the contest, handing Spence his first career loss. Spence is now 28-1-0 with 22 KOs.
In the fight, but I just felt like, you know, he came prepared and he was ready and he fought a good fight. He was awkward. He was patient. He was determined. He stuck to his game plan, and he did what he had to do to make it.
Errol Spence has now revealed on social media that the worst thing he has done as an athlete was drinking. Spence's social media post also drew a reaction from Gervonta Davis, who fights Lamont Roach tonight. Worst thing I did to myself was drinking. If you're an athlete, focus on the end goal. Hopefully it's a better situation for you and your loved ones. Apart from his defeat against Crawford, Spence has had a stellar career. However, his last performance saw a rise in the number of critics. Some fans have suggested that Spence doesn't have it in him anymore. This recently prompted a reaction from Spence as he wrote on X, formerly Twitter. Some of y'all use "he washed" to loosely post y'all mama so you can see what washed really is.
A lot of people say, oh, well, he's money hungry, he's looking at money and he's trying to cash out and this and that. I've been getting money for years. I've been getting millions for years.
Yeah.
And I'm not stupid with my money.
Right.
As you can see, I don't buy no Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and, you know what I mean, walk around with 100 people around me and I got all this jewelry that I done bought. Like,
Spence was the unified welterweight champion prior to his loss to Terence Crawford. He held the WBA, WBC, and IBF titles at that time. Spence was the unified champion between 2017 and 2023. While he hasn't fought in close to 2 years, Spence is still 34, and fans can expect a big-name opponent in his return. Two-weight undisputed champion Terence Crawford seems to have found himself in some controversy after his recent comments about his former opponent Errol Spence Jr. The pair went toe-to-toe against each other back in 2023, which saw Bud Crawford deliver a pretty one-sided beatdown on the truth. Since then, Spence Jr. has failed to make a comeback. The former unified welterweight champion had the option to invoke a rematch clause against Crawford, but chose not to pursue it.
He got caught. It should have boxed a little bit more, but things happen. You gotta learn from it. Definitely, it was exciting. The whole build up to it and leading up to it too. So it's something that I wouldn't change for nothing. And I'm definitely open to the rematch, and hopefully it'll be at 154 pounds.
More recently, he was in talks for a fight against WBC and WBO super welterweight champion Sebastian Fundora, but even that never materialized after several delays. This caused many to believe Spence was never coming back to the ring. Crawford, on the other hand, rose to new heights. The Nebraskan is now scheduled to square off against Canelo Alvarez in September later this year. Regardless, ahead of his mega fight against Canelo, he appeared in an interview with Pound for Pound with Kamaru Usman and Henry Cejudo, where he claimed Spence Jr. does not warrant a place in the Boxing Hall of Fame yet because of a lack of substantial achievements in the sport as compared to him.
They set traps, has crazy power that he believes in, and has a great chin too because he's a guy, he'll let you get out punches.
I can retire right now and be in the Hall of Fame. He couldn't, Crawford said during the podcast. Like everything that I've accomplished, he's still trying to accomplish. Later elaborating on his point, Crawford explained, like he fought in one division. He unified 3 belts. They already called him a weight bully, right? He beat Kell Brook coming off of a loss. Eye injury. Crawford acknowledged Spence's win over Sean Porter, but didn't think it was enough. That's a good win. I don't want to sound like I'm hating on him or anything like that. I honestly don't know if he'll make it to the Hall of Fame with the accolades that he got right now. While there's some substance to Crawford's point, fans and experts alike have disagreed with him. That includes boxing trainer Kevin Cunningham, who responded to Crawford's comments, writing, "In my opinion, Errol Spence Jr. has done enough to eventually get into the Hoff. Olympian, 3 world titles at welterweight, and was top 4 pound for pound." This is the same sentiment echoed by Erickson Lubin as well. While Terence Crawford has recently grown in popularity after his win over Spence, he has one of the most decorated resumes in the sport. He has titles in 4 weight classes, and the undisputed title in 2 different weight classes. Throughout his run, many have doubted his ability to beat his opponents at various stages, but Crawford has always proved them wrong. However, Erickson Lubin isn't convinced Crawford has really accomplished anything. "No disrespect, but I don't think Crawford really fought anyone either," Lubin wrote, responding to Crawford's comments about Errol Spence Jr.'s chances of getting into the Boxing Hall of Fame. Moving up weight classes and stopping 11/12 is what we should credit him for, though. That being said, Terence Crawford seems to have found himself at the center of controversy.
If he fight Canelo, I'll be going for him. I mean, I don't know if he's gonna win or lose, but I definitely be going for Crawford. I think if anybody can pull it off, he can pull it off. He's chasing greatness, so why not? Canelo came up to 175 and all that and fought Kovalev and fought the other guy too. So I mean, if he can do it, and he started at 147. So I mean, if he's doing it, why?
Terence Crawford administered a shocking beatdown of Errol Spence in their long-awaited unification bout on Saturday night, becoming the first undisputed welterweight champion in nearly 4 decades, while staking a credible claim as the world's best fighter regardless of weight. Crawford knocked down Spence in the 2nd round and twice more in the 7th before referee Harvey Dock intervened at the 2:32 mark of round 9. No one in the sold-out crowd of 19,990 at the T-Mobile Arena would have protested if he'd stepped in sooner. The matchup between undefeated American stars more than 5 years in the making was billed as the best fight that boxing could deliver. But after an opening round that unfolded on even terms, it quickly spun into little more than a platform for Crawford's generational talent. The 35-year-old Nebraskan stamped his name into history with an extraordinary exhibition of power, precision, and ring generalship that made an elite opponent look like a novice. Crawford, a former champion at 135 pounds and 140 pounds, who went off as a slight favorite in Saturday's eagerly anticipated showdown, became the first fighter to hold all of the recognized world titles at welterweight since 1986, when Lloyd Honeyghan stopped Donald Curry at Caesars Atlantic City to capture the WBA, WBC, and IBF belts in one of the great upsets in British boxing history. It came at the expense of Spence, a 2012 U.S. Olympian from the Dallas suburb of DeSoto, whose deliberate come-forward approach, dependent on generating pressure behind a methodical southpaw jab, proved no match for Crawford's dynamic switch-hitting style and note-perfect counterpunching.
We're gonna have a fish fry come Saturday. Man, you gotta calm down, brother. Cause listen, man, things can get real sticky real quick, and then everybody would say, this is what we do every time we come out. This is what we do when we come out.
Terence Crawford knocked down Errol Spence for the first time in 29 professional fights during the 2nd round of Saturday's welterweight title unification bout. "I only dreamed of being a world champion," said Crawford, who extended his streak of 11 straight knockouts, including all 8 opponents he's faced since moving up to 147 pounds. "I'm an overachiever. Nobody believed in me when I was coming up, but I made everybody a believer. I want to thank Spence and his team because without him, none of this would have been possible." Spence was the busier fighter in the opening round, using his jab as a rangefinder and targeting Crawford's midsection. The naturally bigger man, he used deft footwork and a dedicated body attack to move Crawford backward into the 2nd. But when he overextended himself with a right hand to the body that badly missed the target, Crawford made him pay with a counter delivered with pinpoint accuracy that dumped him to the canvas for the first time in 29 professional fights. It only went downhill from there. The wounded champion came out for the 3rd round, intent on showing his fighting spirit was intact, bursting into the pocket with heavy shots that his foe parried and blocked with ease. By the 4th, the Texan was bleeding from a cut over his right eye as the gulf in hand speed was laid bare. Crawford coolly operated with surgical precision, using his jab as a power punch as Spence walked into one thudding shot after another.
Got the confidence to come out there and just be like, okay, well, even the skills to say, all right, let me see how you gonna take a punch to the chin. Let me see how you gonna take a punch to the body. Let me see how you gonna react when you can't bully somebody around.
Good, I just hit the ball.
Okay. So my mind was, you know what I mean, you know, it was racing a little bit. And I was like, man, how should I come out? And it was like, man, just come out boxing.
Listen, just like you talking, just like you doing all that talking, bro, it can turn deadly real quick, but on both sides. So why not support? Listen. Why not support your fighter? Support your fighter.
He was just throwing the hard jab, Spence said. He was timing his jab. His timing was just on point. I wasn't surprised by his speed or his accuracy. It was everything I thought. The punishment continued to mount in the 5th and 6th as Crawford badly mistreated his flagging opponent, leaving his face bloodied and swollen. Spence went down a 2nd time under a combination of punches early in the 7th, then again from a heat-seeking right hook in the dying seconds of the round. From there, it was only a matter of time. A famously ruthless finisher, Crawford poured it on until Spence was left defenseless on rubbery legs in the 9th. Once the Omaha southpaw landed a series of 9 straight uncontested blows, the referee was left with no choice but to wave it off. "It was a good stoppage," Crawford said. "I was on the verge of coming back with some hard shots. Everybody knows I'm a great finisher. The ref did what he was supposed to do to protect the fighter."
Ain't got nothing wrong with that. Support your fighter. Y'all support y'all fighter. Let's come together, make this event a success. Instead of everybody saying every time we get together, you know what I mean, it's always shooting and violence.
CompuBox's punch statistics lent quantitative context to Crawford's sheer dominance. He connected on a remarkable 185 of 369 blows, 50.1%, including 98 of 163 power shots, 60.1%. Spence was limited to 96 of 480 punches landed, 20%, including a scant 33 of 296 of his jabs, 11.1%, his preferred weapon historically. "We were worried about the jab coming in because that's how he sets up all of his shots," Crawford said. "Our main focus was the jab. You take away his best attribute. The rest is history," said a downcast Spence, who tasted defeat for the first time since a loss to Russia's Andrei Zamkovoy in the 69 kilograms quarterfinals of the London Olympics more than a decade ago. "He was just better tonight. He was using the jab. My timing was a little bit off. He was just the better man tonight."
The big question was, is he gonna come out orthodox? Is he gonna come out southpaw? I'm tripping because I was talking to one of your guys after the fight in the locker room, and he said, before y'all came out to fight, you looked at him and you looked at Shakur and you said, "Hey, what y'all think I should do?"
Yeah, because in my mind, I want to fight. Right. I want to fight. But given the circumstances that he haven't had nobody that's, you know what I mean,
The contract for Saturday's fight included a 2-way rematch clause that can be triggered by the loser within 30 days, although the winner gets to decide whether the fight will take place at 147 pounds or 154 pounds. Spence has made no secret of his desire to leave 147 pounds behind for good, opening up during the run-up about his struggles to make the welterweight limit. But he didn't hesitate for a moment when asked whether he plans to exercise his option for a replay. "We gotta do it again," Spence said. "I'm going to be a lot better. It'll be a lot closer. It'll probably be in December and the end of the year. I say we gotta do it again. Hopefully, it will happen at 154.
Like he should. He didn't do the things that his daddy told him to do. What are you talking about? Even his daddy said it. Even his daddy said it.
You butthurt that I got the
Even his daddy said it.
You butthurt.
Even Kell Brook, he was already broken.
So was he broken when you fought him?
No, he wasn't broken.
How come
I broke the other eye.
He came off of.
I broke the other eye. Yeah, that's how I got broke. That's how I got broke.
He came off of.
The two fighters took part in one of the biggest fights in recent memory when they met at the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas back in July 2023. Spence headed into the fight as the WBA, WBC, and IBF welterweight champion with a record of 28-0, while Crawford held the WBO welterweight belt and had a record of 39-0. It was seen as a 50-50 fight in the build-up, but it certainly didn't transpire that way, with Bud claiming a dominant 9th-round stoppage victory to become undisputed and solidify his place as one of the pound-for-pound best in the world. Having come out on the wrong end of the result, Spence revealed at the post-fight press conference just how hard his rival hit, needing just 4 words to sum it up.
Stop it.
What does it matter?
He came off a stoppage and then he fought you
What does it matter?
Months prior.
What does it matter?
So was he broken or not?
No, he wasn't broken. No, he wasn't broken.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
What are you talking about? I had the same surgery he had, and what happened? So what they say about you then? You fight me then?
I'm gonna break the other eye.
So what they say? So I'm...
He's a strong dude. Spence then explained just why he felt that Crawford was able to dominate so easily. "I got a feel for his power, probably like the first, second round. You know, everybody at this top level has some type of power, but I think because my timing was off, he was catching me in between shots." Spence is still yet to return to the ring since the defeat to Crawford, but has been linked with a move up to super welterweight to take on WBO and WBC champion Sebastian Fundora. As for Crawford, he is still craving a clash with unified super middleweight champion Canelo Alvarez, and one fighter who has sparred both men has given his prediction for the bout.
Like you said, if this Canelo fight, if you're able to be successful and victorious, like, how important is it for you to be able to rank yourself amongst all the top guys that ever did this thing?
It'd be great. That's why you take the chance. This is by far the biggest opportunity, but the biggest risk that I ever took in my career.
Yeah.
And I understand what's at stake, and I understand the level of competition that I'm up against, and I be like, man, come on, man.
Yeah.
So every time he say that, I just be like gradually getting into looking at it, like, okay. And he's not that big. He heavy, but he's not that big.
Right.
And I'm just like, all right. I'm laughing, but at the same time, it started hitting me like, all right, man.
After a lot of rumors throughout the first half of 2024 that the two pound-for-pound stars could step into the ring with one another, talks appeared to die down as the year progressed, and it seemed that boxing fans would not get to see the matchup. In recent weeks, rumors have begun to swirl once again that the fight could be in contention. With both Canelo and Crawford looking for opponents for next year, the fight would see current WBA super welterweight champion Crawford step up another 2 weight classes to go up against reigning unified super middleweight champion Canelo. As for Terence Crawford, it remains to be seen if he is actually interested in taking on Errol Spence in a rematch after Canelo Alvarez.
If Canelo become undisputed again and I beat Canelo, what could they say? They'll say something, but what
they're gonna find something, that.
But what can they really say?
Right.
So that's the legacy fight right there for me. I'm not looking at, a lot of people say, oh, well, he's money hungry, I'm up against, and that what makes it great. That's what all the great fighters will want, because it's a high risk, high reward type of fight. You come out on top, look at everything that's gonna happen after that. You one of the top 5 fighters in the world ever, probably.
That's what I was gonna ask you. Where you rank it? Because I put that on Twitter. I said, if you beat Canelo.
Right now, the only fight on his mind is the Canelo fight, and he has revealed this to the public on several occasions, how he might have retired if Canelo didn't give him the fight. He waited so long for Errol Spence to trigger the rematch clause, only to be left waiting until he could wait no more. The more realistic option for Spence is to go to the super welterweight division and fight one of the guys there as a tune-up fight before getting himself into a world championship match again. And that's all for now. For the very best updates on news moments, events, and actions in the world of boxing, stay connected to us by subscribing to our YouTube channel. And don't forget to turn on notifications to get notified when we drop quality contents like this. Until next time, peace out.